What's going on, guys? Matt Everett here with Lethal Camaro, and today I am doing the ACS Composite deck lid spoiler install for the 2016-2017 Camaro SS. Now, this deck lid spoiler is a direct bolt-on replacement. You don't have to screw or drill out new holes in your deck, and you basically replace the stock spoiler that shipped with GM. Now, if you have an LT car and you're watching this video, they do make this spoiler for your car, but it is different. It installs differently, and the guide here today is separate from what you guys would follow. Now, just a couple caveats here. I did record this video earlier on before I went on some trips. Unfortunately, I felt the edits that I had just weren't good enough or didn't explain the process. So you will see a couple clips that I'm going to chop in here and there that shows the removal of the stock spoiler with all the adhesive that comes directly from the GM side. Unfortunately, I can't reshoot that because I don't have that same adhesive to put back on to show you how to take it off. But what I am going to do is go through the process and the steps that you need to follow to install the ACS Composite deck lid spoiler. So for those of you who want to do this at home, you can do it and not have to feel like you need to pay someone to install this product for you. I will be following up with the side skirt install. My good friend who also has an SS ordered the full side skirts from ACS. That video will be following here shortly. So let's get right on into it. So the tools for today's install are actually pretty straightforward and simple. I'm using a small ratchet with a 10mm socket and a finishing tool that you'll use to remove these tree clamps around this finished piece for the back of your trunk. Now, the uninstall, and again, I gotta move my camera here. The uninstallation of your stock spoiler is gonna take place by removing 2 bolts in here, 2 bolts that are hidden underneath this clip right up in here, and then the 2 bolts on this side, with a total of 6 bolts total to remove the spoiler. Now, overall, the uninstallation of this piece is pretty simple, and I'm gonna jump to my earlier video showing you how to remove it and the stock spoiler. We're gonna need to take off this portion here. You'll see there's 2 caps here that will need to come off and 2 caps over here. And these are all holding the bolts to the stock splitter. Now, a lot of this stuff you can use a finishing tool with, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab mine. I have a couple different finishing tools that I like to use, but you'll see both of these, one's skinnier and one's a little bit fatter, but it should get the job done in taking this off. And these are going to be your standard tree clips. They never like to come off easily. I really wish they would just use regular bolts for these. So these black covers usually just slide on, so don't hesitate to pull that off. And, okay, so I can see the bolts. Looks like we'll probably have to just take this whole thing off. And that comes off pretty easily, as you just saw. Go ahead and put that in the trunk. So there's 2 bolts right underneath this mechanism, the release mechanism. These are the center bolts. I'm gonna be a little more, whoa, those actually come off really easily. That's nice. Don't want to lose them though. Go ahead and stick those there. I'm curious what is behind this. Nothing. Weight savings hole. So I just want to see nothing there. So yeah, there's the bolts. Now time to get some sockets. So you'll need a 10mm. And what I'll actually do is I won't take these all the way off just yet. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get to these without them falling inside the vehicle. I'm going to have to do the old. Okay. Old school. So I'm doing this to make sure the bolt doesn't slide into the back of the trunk and then be where you can never get it. Because that would suck. Now that I have both outside bolts, these are removed, the deck lid spoiler is only being held on by the 2 bolts here. And these ones you'll need, you know, I'm not using my extension to get to them, but they are a little bit harder to get to. This would probably be easier if I just move that. Yeah. So I'm using my fingers to loosen the bolt, and I'm holding the deck lid spoiler, or the stanchion spoiler, make sure it doesn't fall off. And it should have sticky stuff on there anyways. That's gonna keep it from like completely falling off, but you can never be too careful. Better be safe than sorry. You don't want it to fall and chip your paint. Okay, be very careful taking that one out. So this is the fun part. So each stanchion has basically double-sided sticky tape on it, and what we're going to do here is do our best to take the stanchion off without denting the deck lid, and also trying, so when we took this off the last time to wrap it, there we go. We used dental floss to break that seal. So it's off there. I just don't want screws to come out. Oh, come on, baby. There we go. Go. So as you can see, on the outside edges you do have the 2 bolts, those are loose, and then there's a plastic clip, and then there's the actual sticky stuff that goes around the outside edge, which you could still see on the car there. The center stanchion doesn't have the plastic snap, just has the 2 bolts, but you can see the bolts and the 2 clips there as well. And this stuff does want to come off. It's not, it's like it's a piece. These ones are kind of ingrained on the car a little bit, but it will peel off, and then any of the miscellaneous stuff you'll have to use some Goo Gone, and it does want to break. So if you do remove your stock spoiler to put this one on, you're gonna have to order new pads from GM, and I don't know how easy or hard that's gonna be, but you can potentially save them, but they will dry out. So don't think that you're gonna put them back on your stock one and be able to reuse it. There we go. Whole pile of stuff. I am gonna clean off the rest of the excess stuff. I'm gonna use a little bit of goof off again. I'm not gonna push hard on my paint with this, but I'm just gonna loosely, gently, with my hands flat over the surface and get all the wasteful gunk. And this is a microfiber cloth I'm using, so shouldn't introduce any scratches. I'm hot. It's 100+ degrees outside, so I'm sorry I'm so sweaty, but it's hot out here. Next step, I'm gonna clean this over with some detail spray. I had washed my car just recently, so just want to make sure to get the rest of any dirt off. And then what we'll do, because there is new adhesive that has to be put down, and you want to make sure you have a clean surface. Okay guys, so I got the spoiler in place. Well, I got it on the back of the car. Breaking things. But the downside is there's no instructions for install. So I know typically there's going to be adhesive that's supposed to stop the water from getting into these holes in here. With that being said, almost makes me wonder. I mean, I'm playing a guessing game right now on how this is supposed to be installed. And again, I know I want to keep the water out of there, and that's the primary care. But outside of that, it's getting it bolted in nice and snugly. So we'll go from there. Okay guys, so one of the things that got messed up in my initial recording, actually it just didn't record. And one thing I'm finding really hard to do, and I don't necessarily want to do it because I don't want to break the spoiler or my trunk, but when removing the stock spoiler, there you saw all the gunk. You saw all the junk build up across the board around the mounting points. Again, 2 bolts here, 2 bolts here, but all the stock spoiler has the little plastic tabs on the end that snap in place into the holes. Now, when I removed all of that, as you saw earlier in the video, I had to put down the new sticky substance. And what that does is it stops water from getting into the trunk. So a lot of water will build up along this edge. It will go underneath, drain out, etc., etc. But if you don't have any sort of substance or barrier, it will get water in your trunk. Now, ACS Composite does give you a sticky substance, and what I ended up doing, since the instructions were not included on how to install the product in the car, I had to kind of go on my own. And what you'll end up seeing is these are the actual peels. So I took the strips, I cut them in half. I'll make it so I can't see. So I took the strips that they gave me, I cut them in half, and what I did is I placed them on top of the holes in the trunk. And I then cut out of the sticky area where the bolts from the spoiler stick through into the trunk that the bolts go on. So you can actually see where I used a pair of scissors and I snipped out the holes. So in this instance, there was 2 holes on that side, laid it down, cut them out, and then the sticky adhesive went across the side. Now, I didn't know if, at that time, because I didn't have instructions, I didn't know if the stickiness was going to reach laying flat on the trunk to mold to the underneath of the spoiler, because underneath the spoiler has a few curvatures and stuff like that. But what I found is that it actually does really well, and I'm going to remove this. So I put the adhesive again on both sides, or on here. I put an adhesive strip underneath here, again on the top of the deck lid, obviously not on the bottom, and then again on this side. But if you could see in the camera, and I can kind of see it, you can actually see where the adhesive is wrapping around the bolt. You can see it down there too. It's probably hard to see with this camera shot. It's not, I mean, it's light outside, but it's just really dark in there. But what had happened was I laid the strips, I made sure the holes were covered, and you can probably even see the hole up on the inside there. That's where the plastic clip goes in from the stock spoiler. So I covered that all together with the adhesive. So it was actually 3 pieces of adhesive on the left and right side, and then 1 piece of adhesive down the center. But what that did is, you know, it covered the holes and it stopped the ability for the water to get in, as long as it created a nice seal on the bottom. Well, in reshooting this video and wanting to share you guys how to do that, I found out that adhesive bond is actually pretty strong with the deck lid spoiler and the trunk, because taking the spoiler off is proving to be a little difficult, to the point almost where I would have to get dental floss or string of some sort to break it free and then go through and break everything apart, which I could do, but I think you guys get the gist of it, and I don't want to go through that whole process for the sake of just what I could tell you. Again, adhesive strips, one set here, or one piece here, make sure it covers both holes all the way around, along with the hole for the plastic clip that's on the stock spoiler. A strip down this part of the trunk where the two holes are, and again on this side the two holes plus the plastic clip. Now once you have the adhesive on, you just put your deck lid spoiler on very carefully and bolt it in place. You want to tighten it. You don't want to tighten it too much, but what I did notice is actually one of my bolts on the rear did shake loose, so I would highly recommend checking those bolts probably 100 miles, maybe 1,000 miles after install, just to make sure you got them in tight enough. But overall, that's about it. That's the full install. So hopefully you guys found the guide useful. I purchased this product at Fast Tech Performance. I got a good deal. They had free shipping at the time. I did buy the carbon metallic black, which honestly I would tell you guys, don't buy that version unless you're just truly in love with it. It's kind of that sparkly color. It doesn't match the mosaic, so don't let that fool you. But get the base version, have it painted at your dealership or an extra shop that can match your color, and go from there. So link below on where you can find the product, and if you need any more details, comment below. I'll respond as I can. But ACS Composite, you can check out their website. You can see the different options there. But again, I did purchase mine through Fast Tech Performance. Great shipping. Ricardo will hook you guys up. And if you use that Lethal Hammer 5% off code, Lethal5, you may be able to save a few bucks on it if they're not still offering the shipping bonus. I know sometimes offers don't stack over there, so just keep that in mind. As always, guys, thanks for watching the video. Like, shares, comments, always appreciated. And until next time, I'll see you guys on the road.